Ryan and I had planned to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary with a trip to Tibet, but he broke our promise. He said it was a crucial moment for the company's official IPO and that he couldn't leave. I understood. I was even about to cancel our hotel reservation in Lhasa, but then, a notification popped up on my phone, confirmation of a successful check-in. Guest, Ryan, room type, honeymoon suite for Ryan and Jenna. I had always thought Ryan was just a workaholic, someone who lacked romantic instincts, only because he was too focused on his career. I never expected that he had already chosen love, just not with me. I stared at the message for half an hour. In front of me was the suitcase I had just retrieved from the car, ready to be placed back into the closet. But on my phone was proof that Ryan had checked into a hotel in Tibet, with his secretary, Jenna. I thought of the message he had sent me just yesterday. Babe, this is an important time for the company's IPO. I can't go to Tibet with you right now. Once the company goes public, I'll make it up to you, okay? I have a business trip for the next few days, and I'll be really busy. I might not be able to reply to messages or answer calls. Please don't be mad. I had replied simply, okay, take care of yourself. So, this was all just a cover for his trip to Tibet with Jenna. His social media was filled with business-related posts, painting the image of a dedicated corporate elite, but that didn't matter. I could find whatever I needed because Jenna, his young secretary, couldn't help but show off to the world how much her boss adored her. At 1:00 a.m., she updated her social media. They say that if you confess your love in the place closest to the sky, even the heavens will hear you. Below was a grid of 9 photos. Every single one featured her and Ryan, fingers intertwined beneath the crystal-clear blue sky. The sight of it burned my eyes. I knew those hands too well, Ryan's long, slender fingers and the faint mark on his ring finger where his wedding band had been removed. Friends commented under her post, "Why aren't you showing your boyfriend's face?" Jenna replied, "Because I want him to belong only to me." Every single day after that, she posted updates from Lhasa to the Corolla Glacier, from Shagats to Everest Base Camp, from Namso Lake. I let out a bitter laugh. They were following the itinerary I had meticulously planned for my own trip to Tibet. The vacation I had dreamed of was now theirs to enjoy. On the last day, Jenna made another post. "In the presence of the divine, he told me he wants to marry me." The attached photo showed Ryan's hand, now wearing a traditional Tibetan-style wedding ring, his fingers intertwined with hers. I turned off my phone screen. Ryan and I had been married for 10 years. Tibet was the place we had always wanted to visit together. We had promised to go there for one of our wedding anniversaries. And now, on our 10th anniversary, he had gone, just with someone else. I had thought we would hold hands and grow old together, but vows change. Our love ended in the 10th year of our marriage. Jenna had been working as Ryan's secretary for just a year. She had started as an intern at his company during her senior year of college, young, beautiful, full of energy, endlessly curious about the world. She loved anything thrilling, including her married boss. Like a warrior fighting for love, she had declared war on me the moment she sensed Ryan's favoritism. She even added me on social media and sent me provocative messages. I had told Ryan more than once to fire her, but he had always dismissed it. "Emily, she's just a kid fresh out of college. Why are you even taking her seriously? She's just joking around. Don't stoop to her level. She's only 23, why do you care what she says?" His words, the kind only women understand, drove me mad, but Ryan's favoritism never wavered. He would brush it off, saying, "Ignore her. How could I possibly have anything with her? It's just a professional relationship." Yet, every time Jenna called, he would walk away from me without hesitation. That's when I knew his heart had already changed. On the 8th day of their trip, I received a call from the hospital. "Hello, is this Miss Carter? Your husband is at Central Hospital. He injured his leg, please come immediately." A buzzing filled my head. Injured? I rushed to the emergency room just in time to overhear the nurses chatting at the desk. Where did Ryan go? It's time for his injection. My legs went weak. I nearly collapsed. Isn't his wife pregnant? She had a miscarriage scare, so he went to the obstetrics department. Honestly, what was she thinking? 3 months pregnant and still running off to Tibet. Crazy. She was rushed to the hospital as soon as they landed. Didn't the doctor just say no strenuous intercourse and early pregnancy? They were way too careless. The bleeding, don't they even know this basic knowledge? They're a loving couple. They probably couldn't hold back, didn't you hear? They went to Tibet for their honeymoon. An older nurse interrupted their gossip, her voice firm. They're not a married couple. Patient privacy is none of your business. I called Ryan's wife half an hour ago to inform her. Keep quiet. Oh my God, so Ryan went to Tibet with another woman and ended up losing the baby? I thought she was his wife. Shoo, stop talking. If someone hears, we'll be in trouble. Ryan and I had been married for 10 years. He never wanted children. He made me promise that we would be a child-free couple. I loved him so much that, despite pressure from both of our families, I agreed. I lived with him all these years as a child-free couple, but now, I had just found out that he was having a child with someone else. So, it wasn't that he didn't want kids, he just didn't want them with me. I walked up to the nurse's station. Excuse me, I'm Ryan's family. He injured his leg, right? Where is he? Several nurses exchanged glances, their expressions filled with sympathy. He's in the obstetrics department. His secretary is experiencing signs of a miscarriage. She's in surgery. I turned and walked straight to the obstetrics office, facing the doctor. I confirmed again, Jenna is 3 months pregnant. The doctor glanced at me and nodded. The ultrasound confirms she's 12 weeks along. Your friends were really careless, traveling to Tibet while newly pregnant. The altitude sickness must have been awful. You people are way too relaxed about this. But don't worry, they're young. As long as she recovers properly, they can always have another. The doctor's casual words sent a sharp pain through my chest. Her husband just signed the consent form for the surgery, the doctor added. I lowered my gaze to the form under relationship to patient. The signature read, Ryan, husband. I walked to the obstetric waiting area. Ryan was standing outside the operating room. The moment he saw me, he jumped to his feet. I didn't say a word, only looked at him. You went to Tibet, I finally said, with Jenna. His face turned even paler, panicked. He reached for my hand. Emily, are you mad at me? I didn't mean to keep it from you. It's just, Jenna said she'd never been to Tibet before. Her birthday wish was to visit. Since our trip was already cancelled, I figured there was no point wasting the reservations, so I took her instead. I was afraid you'd misunderstand, so I didn't tell you. I pulled my hand away from his grasp. She's 3 months pregnant, isn't she? Ryan quickly tried to explain. Babe, don't overthink this. Listen to me. I pressed my lips together. 3 months, Ryan, the baby is yours, isn't it? I watched as the color drained from his face. His lips trembled. He shook his head. No, I only signed the consent form because she has no family here. As her boss, I had no choice, that's all. Emily, you have to believe me, nothing happened between us. I stood up. Ryan, do you even believe the words coming out of your own mouth? You know exactly what you did in Tibet. Didn't you promise Jenna you'd marry her? Didn't you vow your love in front of the gods? Then what am I? My voice was cold. Was our 10-year marriage just a joke to you? We need to take a step back and think things through, I said, my tone steady. When you figure out what you want, we can talk again. With that, I turned and walked away without looking back. Behind me, Ryan's voice called out desperately, Emily, Jenna and I are innocent. You can't just accuse me like this. I ignored him. I didn't even look at the nurse's expressions as I walked out. I walked straight out of the hospital. Before I even got home, I received a message from Jenna. So, you know everything now, don't you? The baby was Ryan's, and the person he loves is me. He hasn't loved you in a long time. Since that's the case, why don't you just be the one to file for divorce? Ryan is too soft-hearted. He won't ask for one, but can you really stand being cheated on by your own husband? Why put yourself through this? The only reason you're holding on is because of his money, isn't it? If you just get this over with, I can make sure he gives you a bigger share of the assets. He's such a great man. How could someone like you deserve him? A successful man will always want a child. You can't even have kids, and all you do is sit at home like a parasite, doing nothing. How do you even have the face to stand beside him? Tell me, Do you really think you deserve the title of Mrs. Carter? I let out a cold laugh, a parasite. Jenna had been with Ryan for too short a time. She didn't know the truth. Ryan's company had been built with my money, the connections and resources that helped him grow were all mine. Even the documents for his company's IPO had been prepared by me. I was the one who lifted him up to this position, and I could just as easily crush him, shattering everything into pieces. The day Ryan was discharged from the hospital, I still went. After all, we were still legally married, and discharge procedures required a family member. As I approached the hospital room, I saw Ryan gently helping Jenna out of bed. I'll go handle your discharge papers, he said softly as he supported her. His voice turned impatient. Did you have any idea how much trouble this miscarriage has caused me? I told you to be careful, but you just had to be reckless, and now, not only is the baby gone, but even Emily found out. Jenna pouted and kissed his cheek. I know, baby, I messed up. If I had known about your plan earlier, I would have cooperated with you better. Ryan nodded. The company's IPO is at a critical stage. I can't afford any slip-ups. I still need Emily's help. Stay away from her for now, and don't get too close to me either. Once the company goes public, I'll talk to her about the divorce. For now, just go home. She'll be coming to pick me up soon, and I'll find a way to smooth things over with her. When this is all over, what's stopping us from being together? Jenna wrapped her arms around him, pressing a kiss to his lips. My husband, you're so smart and capable. What am I going to do? I can't stand being apart from you for even a second. Hurry up and get this IPO done. I want to marry you right away. Just the thought of you lying in bed next to that woman drives me crazy. The two of them kissed deeply, their voices intimate and sickening. Every sound echoed straight into my ears. I'd been about to push the door open, but I slowly pulled my hand back. Without saying a word, I turned and walked out of the hospital. Taking out my phone, I made a few calls. Withdraw all investments from Ryan's company immediately. Draft a divorce agreement. I'll send over some documents soon. Also, halt all work on the IPO preparation for his company, effective immediately. My lawyer was efficient. Within no time, the divorce papers were drawn up and delivered straight to Ryan. But Ryan didn't come looking for me first. Instead, it was his parents who reached out. They lashed out at me in the family group chat. Emily, do you even have a conscience? Ryan gave up having children for you. He never once complained that you didn't work, and now, at the most critical moment of his company's IPO, you're filing for divorce. Who do you think he's working so hard for? Isn't it for your family? How could you do something so heartless? Or is it because you're using my son's money to support some boy toy outside? Ryan didn't dare oppose you when you insisted on being child-free. He was even willing to cut off the Carter family bloodline just to be with you. The group chat exploded with accusations, twisting the truth so much that it made my skin crawl. Ryan's relatives immediately took his side, attacking me from all directions, claiming that I was in the wrong. I didn't bother arguing. Instead, I silently posted the medical examination report, Jenna's abortion consent form with Ryan's signature, the hotel records from their trip, and their round-trip plane tickets. Then I sent a message: just because I haven't spoken doesn't mean I'm guilty. I was only giving Ryan the last bit of dignity he had left, but since he doesn't even want that, let's just throw it all away. The one who said he didn't want children was Ryan. Don't try to pin this on me. Your wonderful son cheated on his wife with his secretary, got her pregnant, and then, because they couldn't control themselves, caused her to have a miscarriage. Congratulations, you're about to have a much younger daughter-in-law. She may be broke, but at least she's good at acting innocent. But don't worry, your son is so capable, isn't he? He just loves these little green teas. I directly tagged Ryan in the chat. I thought after 10 years of marriage, I should at least leave you a shred of dignity. Turns out you don't even want it and still have the audacity to play the victim. Ryan, don't take everyone for a fool. Then I posted dozens of photos, pictures of Ryan and Jenna being intimate, all sent to me by Jenna herself, flirty messages, taunts meant to provoke me, constant attempts to push me to leave Ryan. At first, I had believed Ryan was just momentarily tempted, indulging in some harmless flirtation. Maybe it was because I hadn't been around enough. I had planned to finish the overseas project soon so I could focus more on our business here and spend more time with him. But I was wrong. By the time I turned back, We had already lost each other at the crossroads of our marriage. The moment the pictures appeared, the entire family chat fell silent. Ryan frantically called me over and over again, "Emily, delete those pictures, you had no right to post them, they're fake, you photoshopped them, didn't you? How could you be so disgusting just to get a divorce? Are you trying to destroy me?" I spoke coldly into the phone. "Ryan, do you really want to stand there and say these are fake? Your sweet little secretary personally sent them to me. Want me to forward you the chat history?" Ryan shouted in frustration. "I already told you, Jenna is just a kid, why are you making things so difficult for her? She was just being playful, I only took those pictures with her because she asked me to. There's nothing between us, you have no proof." I laughed. Only Ryan could be this shameless. "Ryan, I already told you, don't take people for fools, the amount of evidence I have on your affair could fill an entire courtroom. You want proof? I have more than enough. If you want to argue, we'll see each other in court." The divorce agreement I had drawn up not only ensured that my assets remained untouched, but it also included evidence of my financial contributions to Ryan's company. That meant the company's initial funding had come entirely from me. Ryan hadn't contributed a single cent. If I wanted to be ruthless, I could take back the controlling shares. When Ryan saw the divorce agreement, he completely lost it. He had considered the consequences of a divorce, but he had never imagined they would be this severe, so severe that he couldn't afford to bear them. I returned home to pack my things. The moment Ryan saw me, he rushed toward me, eyes filled with tears. "Emily, I don't want a divorce, please don't be so heartless. I really know I was wrong, I beg you, don't leave me. I just made a mistake, I lost my way for a moment, but I know now, I know I was wrong. You know I love you, Emily, we've been together for 10 years, can you really just let go? I know you love me too, don't you?" The words, "I love you," pierced through me like a blade. I raised my hand and slapped him across the face, shoving him away. "Ryan, you don't deserve to say those words. How dare you stand here and say them to me? Everything I had done for you over the years, I did it out of love, willingly, without complaint, but now I realize it was all a lie. Ryan, you truly have no conscience. Even at the very end, you're still trying to use me. The fact that I loved you for 10 years disgusts me. I heard everything you said to Jenna at the hospital. You just wanted to keep me around long enough to help you take your company public, didn't you? Let me tell you now, stop dreaming." I looked at him slumped on the sofa, holding his face where I'd slapped him. My gaze was cold. "I'm a woman. Even if I was deceived, I can still feel disappointment and pain. Ryan, from now on, you're on your own. I won't help you again, ever." With that, I went upstairs, grabbed my suitcase, and walked out. Before stepping out of this house for the last time, I pulled off my wedding ring and tossed it into the trash can. "Goodbye, Ryan," I whispered to the empty room, my voice barely audible. I stepped out the door, loaded my suitcase into my car, and just as I was about to leave, I saw a familiar car pull up. Jenna got out, her smug smile growing when she saw me with my luggage. "Emily, what's this? Kicked out after a fight with Ryan?" She laughed, her tone dripping with mockery. "I told you before, what isn't yours will never be yours. Ryan was always meant to be mine." I looked at her calmly and nodded. "Then you better hurry up and convince your Ryan to sign the divorce papers, otherwise, you'll forever be just the mistress." That title doesn't sound too great, does it? Her smile faltered. "Mistress? What are you talking about? Ryan and I truly love each other," she protested. I chuckled. "And yet, you're still not the one with the marriage certificate," her face twisted with anger. "You're the loser here, Emily, can't you see? You're outdated these days. The one who isn't loved is the real outsider who even cares about a marriage certificate anymore. Love is everything. If Ryan really wanted to be with you, why did he take me on a trip instead of spending your wedding anniversary with you?" I smiled faintly. "Oh, sweetheart, let me teach you something. When the time comes, you'll see just how important a marriage certificate really is," and that time had already come. I had gathered all the evidence of Jenna and Ryan's affair and, through my contacts, had it leaked onto Jenna's university's official forum. Overnight, in less than 24 hours, Jenna became infamous for being a homewrecker. Every flirtatious picture, every conversation, every message she had sent to provoke me, they were all posted for the entire student body to see. The university's online forum exploded. "Oh my God, this girl goes to our school. How embarrassing. I don't even want to admit we go to the same university." Mistresses these days really have no shame. How could she do this? The guy is at least 10 years older than her. Is this what they call sugar daddy success? Damn, she really skipped a few decades of hard work, huh? But seriously, the wife is rich and beautiful. What was this guy thinking? Does he just like young girls? By the next day, the university had recalled Jenna, immediately terminating her internship and summoning her for an official investigation. Ryan stormed into my office, his eyes burning with rage. "Emily, I never thought you could be this vicious. Are you trying to destroy Jenna's future?" I met his glare without a hint of emotion. "That's right, just like how she destroyed my marriage. It's fair, isn't it? Everyone who makes a mistake has to face the consequences. Otherwise, if no one is ever held accountable, what's the point of justice?" I leaned back in my chair and continued, "Besides, Ryan, do you know the best way to settle this mess? Sign the divorce papers. If you publicly announce that our marriage was already broken beyond repair, maybe, just maybe, you can salvage what's left of Jenna's reputation. So tell me, who do you care more about? Jenna or your money?" Ryan's face twisted in fury. "In your dreams. You still think you can take half of my company?" I tapped my fingers against my desk, my voice calm. "I have taken all of it, but for the sake of our 10 years together, I only asked for 50%. Ryan, let's be clear, I built your company. If I wanted to, I could leave you with absolutely nothing. And you know I can do it." Ryan hesitated, his confidence cracking for the first time. Just then, Jenna burst into the room and fell to her knees in front of him. "Ryan, please. Can't you stay married to me for my sake? The school is expelling me. What am I supposed to do? I might not even get my diploma." Jenna pleaded desperately, her voice filled with panic. "Help me, Ryan. Sign the divorce papers. I promise I'll make it up to you in the future. You have to believe me. Or do you care more about money than you do about me? Do you not love me anymore?" Her tearful plea shattered Ryan's resolve. 3 days later, he signed the divorce agreement. I officially gained 50% of his company's shares. A month later, our divorce was finalized. The moment we walked out of the civil affairs office with our divorce papers in hand, Jenna appeared out of nowhere, throwing herself into Ryan's arms with a bouquet of red roses. "Ryan, let's get married," she exclaimed excitedly. She was wearing a miniskirt, her arms wrapped around his neck, her eyes filled with adoration. "I'll love you forever. I'll never leave you. I'll make every day of your life full of surprises. I'll give you the most romantic love in the world." Gasps and murmurs of admiration rippled through the onlookers. Ryan, clearly moved, accepted the roses with a look of bliss. Then he slipped the cheap ring he had bought into place on his finger, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. I almost laughed out loud. A street vendor ring that probably cost $50, and he was wearing it with such passion. I never thought a man his age could still be so blinded by emotion. I had no interest in their public display of affection. Without sparing them another glance, I turned and left the civil affairs office. Ryan thought that since I had taken 50% of his company's shares, I would naturally do everything to ensure its successful IPO. After all, who would sabotage their own financial interests, right? He was wrong. I didn't care about his company's future. I only cared about making sure he had no future. I immediately sold my shares to an outside party. At the same time, I withdrew all investments connected to the company. Ryan never noticed what was happening. He was too busy preparing for his grand wedding with his young girlfriend. But 3 days before the wedding, Jenna received her official punishment from the university. Due to her involvement in breaking up a marriage and causing severe damage to another family, the university determined that her behavior had negatively impacted the school's reputation and its students. She was expelled. Rumor had it that Ryan personally accompanied her to complete the withdrawal paperwork, even though he repeatedly insisted that his marriage had already fallen apart and that Jenna was not a homewrecker. All his excuses became meaningless in the face of the overwhelming evidence. Dozens of intimate photos, flirtatious messages, and proof of their affair. One of Jenna's professors spoke to them with a heavy heart. "Even if your marriage was falling apart, you should not have been with Jenna before the divorce was finalized. To your ex-wife, she will always be the other woman, and you will always be the cheater. Isn't that the truth? As they were leaving campus, a male student blocked their way. He was young, dressed in a plain white t-shirt and jeans, with a face full of youthful energy. His bright eyes burned as he looked at Jenna. "Jenna, this isn't who you are," he said, his voice shaking. "Why are you with this old man? Did he force you with money?" He then turned his gaze to Ryan, filled with anger and disgust. "You shameless bastard. You're a middle-aged man seducing a college student. Have you no shame? Jenna is 10 years younger than you. How can you even stomach this? Look at yourself in the mirror. You're old enough to be her father." Ryan's face darkened instantly. His age difference with Jenna had always been his insecurity. To prepare for his wedding, he had been working out, trying desperately to maintain his physique. But in the presence of true youth, no amount of effort could hide the wrinkles forming on his face, the slight sagging of his skin, clear evidence that he was aging. Furious, Ryan threw a punch. "Who the hell do you think you are? You dare talk to me like that? Do you even know who I am? Jenna and I are getting married." The young man staggered back, his cheek instantly swelling red. Other students who had been watching couldn't stand it anymore. "Oh wow, so having money means you can just come to our school and hit people now," someone muttered. Jenna, seeing the young man's swollen face, hesitated. She bit her lip and turned to Ryan. "Why did you hit him? He's just a kid. Why are you even arguing with him?" she said, her voice softer than usual. "He didn't mean it, Bowen. You don't understand my relationship with Ryan. Just go back to class, okay?" But Bowen wasn't willing to back down. "You got expelled for him. Do you really think it's worth it? He's just a rich old man." Ryan's expression turned ice cold. He grabbed Jenna's wrist, his tone filled with suspicion. "Who is he to you?" he demanded. "Don't tell me he's your little boyfriend." "Jenna, we're getting married in 3 days. If you dare." Jenna immediately tried to soothe him. "Of course not. How could I? We had fought so hard to be together," Jenna whispered as she clung to Ryan's arm, leading him into the car and away from campus. Not long after, I received a wedding invitation from Ryan. Clearly, he wanted to flaunt his happiness in front of me. What a pity. I had no interest in entertaining his nonsense. After some thought, I sent my assistant to attend the wedding in my place. Through a live stream from my assistant, I watched the entire ceremony unfold. That was when I learned that Ryan's parents never even showed up. Ever since they found out about his affair and our subsequent divorce, they had felt humiliated. Now, the fact that their son was marrying a woman 10 years younger, a girl who had been expelled from school, made them even more ashamed to show their faces in front of relatives and friends. Just days before the wedding, they conveniently joined a travel group and went abroad instead. The seats meant for the elders were occupied by Ryan's aunt and Jenna's parents. Jenna's parents looked grim the entire time. Who in their right mind would be happy seeing their daughter marry a man who not only ruined her education but was also 10 years older and had been married before? When Ryan knelt before them to serve tea and called them Mom and Dad, Jenna's mother picked up her cup, her face cold. "Ryan, to be honest, I don't like you as my son-in-law. You're divorced, you're old, and you're the reason Jenna couldn't graduate. But since my daughter insists on marrying you, I have no choice. After the wedding, hand the company over to Jenna. Transfer your shares to her and have a child as soon as possible." Ryan's face turned deathly pale. He knelt there, frozen, unsure whether to stand or stay down. His aunt, on the other hand, immediately lost her temper. "You old hag. What kind of nonsense are you spewing? What do you mean by divorced and old? Who made your daughter drop out? Why don't you talk about how she was the one chasing after my nephew? If she hadn't seduced him, would Ryan have ever divorced? You think your daughter is so special? Young girls like her are everywhere. If it weren't for her shamelessness, Ryan wouldn't have lost his marriage. You should be thanking him for even considering marrying her. And another thing, your daughter already lost a baby. If she wasn't so useless and careless, do you think Ryan would still be childless now? It's her fault she couldn't keep the baby, not his." The entire wedding hall fell into stunned silence. Guests began whispering, "Wait, so Ryan really did cheat? I thought it was just rumors, but they actually had a baby and then she lost it. Is he insane? He threw away his entire marriage for this girl. She has no money, no degree, nothing but her youth. How long do you think that's going to last? He's just blinded by the excitement. Give it a few years, he'll regret everything. Jenna's parents were livid, and soon the two families were openly fighting on stage, throwing accusations back and forth. The wedding had officially become a joke. The officiant, completely unprepared for the chaos, was at a loss, unable to regain control of the situation. I sat in my office, watching the entire spectacle unfold on the live stream, thoroughly entertained. Ryan's aunt had always been a master at arguing, and from what I had investigated, Jenna's parents weren't exactly easy to deal with either. It was only natural that their family feud would end in disaster. Because of the massive fallout between the two families, Ryan and Jenna's wedding was rushed to a miserable conclusion. Meanwhile, I left the country for the next 6 months. I focused on managing my overseas business and never returned. Only after Ryan's wedding bliss had worn off did he finally realize the full extent of what had happened. By then, I had already sold my shares in his company. The original investors had all backed out. When he tried to call me, he discovered that I had long since blocked him. Desperate, he reached out to my assistant. My assistant, ever professional, replied with a polite yet ruthless tone. "Mr. Carter, everything Miss Emily did before was simply because you were her husband, but now, you're just her ex-husband. Isn't it natural that she has no reason to help you anymore? Surely, you didn't think the company became this successful purely because of your own abilities? Forgive my bluntness, Mr. Carter, but you were naive. Without Miss Emily, you are nothing." Ryan could only watch in despair as his company lost its chance to go public, orders dwindled, and once loyal clients completely ignored him. Only then did he realize that his past success had never been about him. It had all been because he was married to me. 6 months later, when I finally returned home, I wasn't alone. I came back with my fiancé, Andrew. After finding out about my divorce, my parents had been furious and heartbroken. Determined to see me settled, they spent months arranging endless blind dates for me. I had always believed in going with the flow. Maybe fate was finally on my side because, during my time abroad, I unexpectedly ran into an old childhood acquaintance, Andrew Song, the son of my former neighbor. We hadn't seen each other in over 10 years. The last time I remembered him, he was just a boy. Now, he had graduated from law school and was working as a successful attorney. He was capable, independent, yet still warm and considerate. While traveling, he happened to meet my parents, who immediately took a liking to him. Despite the years apart, we fell back into an easy familiarity. Our relationship developed naturally, effortlessly. There was mutual respect but also an unspoken connection that made everything feel right. I told him about my past. He simply smiled and said, "Then I should thank him for not cherishing you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the chance to meet you." I laughed for the first time. Everything that had happened in the past felt like nothing more than a story, one that no longer had any weight in my life. After getting engaged, we returned home. Since both of our careers were based in the country, it made sense to settle here. My parents were finally at ease, holding Andrew's hand as if entrusting their most precious treasure to him. But I never expected that as soon as we landed at the airport, we would run into Ryan and Jenna. They looked exhausted, standing in the middle of the crowded terminal, locked in a heated argument. "Jenna, for the last time, Bowen is just my junior from school. I was just accompanying him on his graduation trip. It's not like I was doing anything inappropriate," Jenna said, visibly irritated. Only then did I notice the young man standing beside her. He was strikingly handsome, radiating youthful energy. Bowen scoffed at Ryan, his tone dripping with mockery. "Old man, why don't you just stay home and rest? What are you seriously expecting Jenna to stay cooped up at home with you just because she's pregnant? You're a grown adult. Can't you take care of yourself? I was the one who invited Jenna on this trip. She married you, not sold herself to you. Can't she have her own friends? Or are you so insecure that you think the moment she talks to someone else, she'll stop loving you? That's kind of pathetic. Didn't you think you were rich and charming? Come on, man, face reality. Jenna's the kind of girl everyone likes. How are you ever going to keep up? How do you plan to handle all the jealousy?" Ryan snapped. He grabbed Jenna's wrist and yelled, "You're not going. You're pregnant now, you need to stay home and take care of yourself. And what about your parents?" Jenna impatiently yanked her hand away. "Ryan, have you ever thought about this? Why do my parents prefer Bowen over you? Why do they never say a bad word about him? Maybe you should take a hard look at yourself. Maybe the problem is actually you. What am I supposed to do at home all day? You've taken control of the company, you won't let me manage anything, and now you won't even let me go on a trip with my friends." Ryan was on the verge of breaking down. "I gave up everything for you. I divorced because of you. My company collapsed because of Emily. She made sure it could never go public. I didn't want to worry you, so I didn't say anything, but now you're treating me like this. It's because of you that I ended up like this, and now you're running around with another man." Jenna's eyes widened in shock. "The company collapsed. You don't have money anymore. But you said as long as I married you, I could spend as much as I wanted." She suddenly grabbed his arm. "Go beg Emily, she used to love you, maybe she'll take pity on you. Tell her you're willing to remarry her, maybe she'll give you money." Ryan's hand flew across Jenna's face. "What the hell are you saying? Are you even human?" he roared. "Do you even hear yourself right now?" Bowen, who had been standing quietly, immediately stepped in, throwing a punch at Ryan. "Who the hell do you think you are, hitting her? Jenna, this guy is broke and pathetic, and he won't stop clinging to you. Just leave him. My dad already said he'd invest in your project. I can help you." Ryan lunged at Bowen, and the two men started brawling right in the middle of the airport. Jenna, horrified, shoved Ryan away. "Have you lost your mind? Why are you fighting Bowen? Go home and take a good look at yourself in the mirror. Ryan, do you even resemble the man you used to be? You look like a lunatic." Without another word, she turned away from him and grabbed Bowen's hand, heading straight for security. Ryan screamed after her, threatening to call the police. Just then, as he stood there trembling with rage, his eyes landed on me, and on the man standing beside me, holding my hand. His eyes turned red. "Emily," he muttered, almost in disbelief. Andrew took a step forward, his expression calm and composed. "Hello, I'm Andrew Song, Emily's fiancé. I'm a lawyer too. If you need, I can help you file for divorce," Andrew said casually. "I can also testify that your wife and her little boy toy assaulted you." Ryan lifted his head, his eyes filled with sorrow, but he only stared at Andrew. At last, he broke down and cried, unable to hold back his grief. He eventually filed for divorce, even suing Jenna and Bowen for physical assault. Of course, Andrew had no intention of representing him for free. He was only speaking out of jealousy. The thought of me having spent 10 years on my ex-husband still irritated him, so he took this chance to stir things up. I gently squeezed Andrew's hand and shot him a half-playful, half-reproachful glance. Without sparing Ryan a single look, I turned and left with Andrew. The next time I saw Ryan, it was on a viral video trending on a well-known social media platform. It was footage of him and Jenna arguing fiercely outside the courthouse. In the video, he grabbed Jenna by the hair and shoved her to the ground. The scene had been recorded by onlookers, and because the video went viral, netizens quickly dug up their past scandals. I watched the drama unfold as though it had nothing to do with me, thoroughly entertained. Smiling, I shared the gossip with Andrew, but before I could enjoy it further, he snatched my phone away. "Pick me up after work tomorrow," he said. When I went to pick Andrew up the next day, I unexpectedly ran into Ryan and Jenna again. The divorce verdict had been finalized. There was little to divide, no significant assets, only a mountain of debt. Ryan spotted me and looked like he wanted to say something, but before he could, Andrew walked out of his office, holding a bouquet of champagne roses, his favorite. I leaned in and kissed his cheek. "Hubby, you've worked hard today." Andrew froze for a second before his expression shifted. "Wait, does that mean you're agreeing to marry me?" I wrapped my arms around him and teased, "Well, when are you going to propose?" He chuckled, pulling me into the car with him, his laughter filled with joy. Ryan stood alone at the courthouse entrance, the wind brushing past him. At that moment, he finally understood, he had lost everything, and there was no going back.